Hi, once again, we'll continue with our economics A-level class. We are still on efficiency. We've talked about productive efficiency, we've talked about allocative efficiency, we've talked about dynamic efficiency, we've talked about dynamic inefficiency. Today, we want to talk about X-Inefficiency. And what is X-Inefficiency? X-Inefficiency simply occurs that a firm, or it simply means the inability of a firm to fully utilize its resources. That is X-Inefficiency. A firm's inability to fully utilize its resources. And if a firm is not fully utilizing its resources, it means it's increasing its average cost of production. So that means instead of it to start reducing its average cost of production, it's unable to do that because it continues to incur more cost. That is X-Inefficiency. So we get to know more by reading further. X-Inefficiency. X-Inefficiency is sometimes referred to as an organizational slack. When we talk about organizational slack, that means the firm or the organization is not taking the right decision regarding productivity, regarding the use of resources. It's a specific type of productive inefficiency. It occurs when the firm is not producing at the lowest possible cost for a given level of output. So like I said earlier, the decision of the firm is not effective, it's not efficient. The firm doesn't have that ability to use its resources to the full capacity. That is the point I'm making. As a result, the cost of producing continues to increase while the level of output is not increasing to the same extent. So that means one way or the other, there's still productive inefficiency. So X-Inefficiency presents when the firm is operating within its average cost curve and not on the boundary. This is the difference between the actual average cost and the possible average cost. So there's the possible average cost and there's the actual average cost. So the firm continues to operate on its actual average cost, where there's tendency to do more in terms of reducing its cost of production. So we have figure 2 to use to explain further about X-Inefficiency. So in figure 2, if a firm producing OB or its average cost is OG, then it is X-Inefficient. So we quickly go to figure 2. If a firm is operating at OB and its cost is at OC, so what they're saying here is a firm output is at OB and it's incurring cost at OG. This is X-Inefficiency because at OB you're supposed to have a cost reduction. Probably this is a possible cost. This is a possible average cost instead of the actual one the firm is operating on. Get the point here. If a firm is considered to be X-Inefficient if its output is at OB and its cost is at OG. So at OG, that is the actual cost, the actual average cost, which there are other possibilities at OE, especially at OE or OF. So if the firm is operating at if the firm output is at OB and its cost of production is at OG, its average cost is at OG, this is the actual cost, which means the firm is X-Inefficient. But if, on the other hand, it's operating at OB and the firm cost is at OE, then there's efficiency there. That is the point about OB and OG. OB, OG represents X-Inefficiency for a firm. That is the point there. OB, OG represents X-Inefficiency. Why does it represent X-Inefficiency? It represents X-Inefficiency because the actual cost is higher than the possible cost of production. Then we continue further, we go further. So the next paragraph, the next sentence, if a firm is producing OB, but its average cost is OG, then it is X-Inefficiency, then it is X-Inefficient because it is operating within the average cost boundary, which I explained the other time. OB, OG represents X-Inefficiency. In contrast, if it produces at OC and its average cost is OF, then there are no X-Inefficiencies. If the firm is operating at OC and the average cost is OF, so we go to OC and OF. So if a firm is operating at OC, this is what it's producing. The firm is producing at OC and its cost is at OF. There's no X-Inefficiency. Why is there no X-Inefficiency? There's no X-Inefficiency because the firm is producing the lowest output. And for the lowest output, it is expected that the cost of production is actually going to increase. So at OC, OF, there's no X-Inefficiency. There's no X-Inefficiency because the firm is operating at its lowest output. And if a firm is operating at its lowest output and it's at OF, not at OG, there's no X inefficiency. The firm, it is difficult for a firm producing at OC to have a lowest possible cost at OE. It needs expansion. So if a firm has to exploit economies of scale, it has to operate at OB to have a reduced cost at OE. But if it's still operating between the frontline of OC, the cost is OF, then there's no X inefficiency. But if it's operating at OB and the cost is operating at OB and the cost is OG, there's X inefficiency. OB, OC, OG represent X inefficiency. OC, OF does not represent X inefficiency. Why is it not X inefficiency? It is not X inefficiency because OC is the lowest possible output, and if the firm is operating at the lowest output, if a firm is producing the lowest output, it is expected to have an increased cost of production. And here, the increased cost of production is at the highest cost of production here is at OG, but the firm is still able to manage at OF. And if the firm is still able to manage at OF, despite producing the lowest possible output at OC, then there's no X inefficiency. That's about X efficiency and lack of X inefficiency. There's X inefficiency if it is operating at the possible output, but at the highest average cost. Get it again? There's X inefficiency because this is the possible output, because it's operating at OB, which is likely to have a cost reduction at OE. But if it's having a cost reduction, if it's having an average cost of production at OG, it represents X inefficiency. But operating at OC, which is the lowest possible production, and the cost is OF, it is not X inefficiency. So let's look further to other X inefficiency situations. So, okay. However, the firm is still productively inefficient because it is not operating at the lowest point on its average cost curve at output OA. So the firm is not X inefficient, rather it's still productive inefficient. Why is it productive inefficient? It's productive inefficient because productive efficiency starts from OA, but the firm is still at OC and it's incurring cost of OF. The firm is operating at OA, which is the actual productive efficiency. It means that with OA, the firm will be having a reduced cost of OE. So for a firm to have a reduced cost here and to bring about productive efficiency, the firm must operate at OA. OA, OE represents productive efficiency. OC, OF is not